Hello, everybody. It is Renee, and I am from Reformation Body Solutions in Northern California. We have a clinic up north, and then we have one down in Palm Desert area. But one of the new things that we have added to our clinic is the LipoMelt Ultimate Light technology, and adding that as a way to accelerate your fat loss. So I'm totally excited about this because I watched for 9 months as clinic after clinic added this technology, and I am now really sold on the benefits, not only for fat loss but for so many different things, and we're going to talk about those today. And I want to introduce to you two great people that run the Ultimate Light technology. And first and foremost is Dr. Rothschild, and he is the creator and the guy that has the info that he's going to share with us today. And of course, Corey is his vice president and runs operations there. And so hello, Corey and Dr. Rothschilds. Dr. Rothschilds, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Carl Rothschild. I've been a chiropractor for 41 years, and I've been involved with light therapy for about 20 of those years. And I'm located over here in Southern California. You said you had a location in Southern California, right?
Palm Desert.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a great area.
Yeah.
At any rate, 20 years ago, I got introduced to light therapy, and it's changed my career, changed my practice. And I got involved in manufacturing over the last decade, and we are just having a blast. And I'll talk more about that when I do my presentation. And then that's about it. I'll talk more.
And Corey?
Hello, everybody. My name is Corey Hull. I am the VP of Distribution, and I wear quite a few hats here at LipoMelt Technologies. I've been working with Dr. Rothschild for about 8 years now, and about 4 years ago, he came to me and told me about a new project he was working on that he wanted me to help with, and so I said, well, what is it? And he said, well, it's light energy that drains fat out of fat cells and slims the body in a nutshell. And I was like, what? That sounds crazy. I mean, it sounds awesome, but yes, I'd love to be a part of it, but I need to know this thing works. And sure enough, I went and got my first treatment, and in the very first 20-minute session, I don't have a lot to lose, so when I got up and I looked in the mirror, I literally had lost 1.5 inches around my belly in 20 minutes, and after 3 sessions, I lost 3 inches, and I was sold. So I have been working with Dr. Rothschild for about the last 3.5 years on this technology, and we are really excited to share it with you and teach you how it works, and hopefully get you to be able to utilize it in the clinics that you guys go to, or if you're an owner, bring it into your own clinic. So we're excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So one of the things that this is in quite a few Ideal Protein clinics, but one of the things that I do want to stress is you do not have to be on Ideal Protein for this to be an effective fat loss protocol. But what we do want to be doing is eating clean, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So I'm going to bring up a slide presentation that we have put together for you. And let me see if I can move some. Yeah, okay. So Corey, I'm going to take you down while we're doing the slide presentation, and he'll be back. All right, there we go. So Dr. Rothschild, explain to us kind of like how you came to this, and just give us a little bit of history on red light and near infrared technology.
Gladly. And since I'm not controlling that slideshow, when I say next, we'll just move over to the next slide.
Absolutely.
In fact, you can go to the next slide, and I'll just talk around that.
I'm going to be your Vanna White today.
Oh, so we don't have the latest version, right? You have another
this is no, this is the latest version.
Okay. Well, prior to this slide, on the latest version, I have a picture of a gentleman with his hands tied behind his back.
Oh,
And
I didn't get that version.
and the reason why I put that on there is because people are always asking me, why am I so crazy about this light therapy? I mean, imagine, I've been in practice for over 40 years, but the first 20 years of my career, I didn't have this tool. I didn't have the capability of doing the kind of things that I can do now. And I'm going to review with you guys in just a moment of all the things that we can do. But now I can heal things that are unbelievable. We talk about the three main categories, which is healing, which is a lot of fun. And I'm going to show you, you might not have Dr. Mercola's information on here either. Anyhow,
I'll put a link in the comments section.
Okay. Yeah, but I wanted to read a few things. But anyhow, I'll just review what I can remember on there. I actually have snippets from his article on photobiomodulation. If you don't know who Dr. Mercola is, I recommend you sign up for his newsletter. But this one in particular, which you're going to put a link on there for the photobiomodulation, goes over some stuff that just, if you're not aware of this, it will blow your mind. So my mind got blown a long time ago, over 2 decades ago, when Chadwick Smith, who's a famous orthopedic surgeon out here in California, brought light therapy to the United States. And here he was an orthopedist, and he thought all his fellow orthopedists would get behind him on it. And not one of them, because they still wanted to do the surgery. They still wanted to make money that way. And he was telling them, hey, if you put the light therapy over that shoulder, there's a good likelihood that you'll be able to heal that. And imagine, chiropractors got behind this tremendously, because we'll do anything it can. It's natural. We don't put anything into the body. We don't sap anything out of the body. And so naturally healthy way of doing a bunch of things. 3 categories. Number 1, healing. And that's a lot of fun in that category. We'll talk about that in a moment. Category 2 is the face. You put our device over the face, and we will, on 100% of the time, we'll see a change, and many times we'll see an amazing change. And the third category, the one that is unbelievably appealing. I mean, many times more people are interested in this than almost anything else, and it's healthy, effortless weight loss. Healthy because we're not going to talk about hormones. We're not going to talk about injections. We're not going to talk about hurting the body in any way, because you can lose weight a lot of different ways. And many of the ones that people are doing are very unhealthy. They'll look better, but our motto is look better, feel better, and be better. And it might seem a little silly, but it's the core and the crux of what we're talking about. You will be better when you're done with our program. And what we found was that, we have hundreds of locations, and all of our ideal protein locations do better. They have way more success. And why is that? Because they also are involved with the other aspect with if you use our device, if we use this device on somebody and they go home and undo everything that we've done by eating crazy stuff, eating way more calories than they should. And, one thing I should mention, that I was born to a fat family. My parents were always struggling with diet until my mother became an executive of Weight Watchers. And from that point on, I was about 7 years old. I never ate a good thing again, because weight loss was torture. We never had anything. I didn't have pasta. I didn't have anything good to eat. And so now we're introducing something that is much easier to integrate into someone's life. And we're just helping them, making it easier. And before, there was never a word easier and healthy. That never existed together in weight loss. If it was easier, I'm telling you, it was drugs. It was unhealthy. And if it was and if it was healthy, guess what? It was hard. It was really difficult. And now we're making it easy and healthy together. So at any rate, we have a picture up here of the setup. I don't feature this picture too much, because some people look at it and go, oh my God, it looks like they're being tortured. But there's no pain. The person doesn't feel anything while we're doing this. And 90-something% of the people that we put this on fall asleep, because it's so relaxing. It's at most a mild heat. and the heat is not really an aspect of the part of this. The beauty of the light is that you really don't feel anything. So anyhow, we can handle, if you see on the bottom where it says thighs, I'm going to look closer because I can't remember. Thighs, buttocks.
Yeah, abdomen, arms, raw fat area, under the chin, face. And just as a little side note, it's so comfortable. I will wrap myself up, and I've done 7 treatments and seen amazing results, but I'll wrap myself up, and he's right. It's so relaxing, and my energy changes, and I feel fantastic when I get up from the table. So yeah, it is wonderful, Dr. Rothschild.
I'm glad you think so. So we're going to go to the next slide. So I'm going to come a little closer because it's really small on my screen. So we're talking about
red light therapy.
We're talking about integrating both the red light and near infrared. So when I first started in business 20 years ago, first got introduced to light therapy, there were 2 different devices. One was red light only, one was near infrared, and they're distinctly different. And we learned over the years that there is a big difference. And so the red light only devices, if you'll see, it says drains the fat from the fat cells. The red light companies will tell you, oh, it's also for healing. Not that much, but it's wonderful about draining the fat cells. So if you don't have red light, you're not going to drain the fat from the fat cells. We'll talk how that happens in just a moment. Now, the next slide shows that there's near infrared. This is the thing that a lot of these devices are missing and people don't understand. I love near infrared because, go ahead, you can read that. I can't read it.
It says it increases collagen and elastin. It reduces sagging skin, cellulite, and stretch marks. And that is so true. I've seen tremendous results just on my own personal self, and then from several different clinics that I have collaborated with. The tremendous before and after photos are really amazing.
And if you look at the new slides that I gave you, there's a third thing that goes under the near infrared, because it's the near infrared that's so healing. Now we're going to go back. Well, anyhow, so what are the benefits? As I was telling you before, there are 3 main categories: weight loss, facelift, and the healing. And under the healing, it's frightening. I was telling you about Mercola. So let me just review a few of the things they talk about the healing aspect. If you put this over someone's kidneys, now we can't necessarily do this, but the fact is, if you put it over someone's kidneys, you're going to heal their kidneys. If the person has a kidney problem, you will heal it. You will help it. I'm just telling you how unbelievably healing this is. There's not a joint in your body. There's not an area in your body that I couldn't wrap this around and have the likelihood of healing that. Every joint, every tissue. We're talking about people who have rosacea on their face, will heal it. We're talking about wrapping this around their head. And people who have Alzheimer's, it will improve it. People who weren't able to speak are speaking. People who weren't able to eat and feed themselves are feeding themselves. So dementia, Alzheimer's, migraine, as I was mentioning, every orthopedic style kind of problem, every joint in the body. And I know it sounds crazy, so you got to experience it. You got to try it. And it takes a series of visits. I mean, you've taken 20 years to create the problem, so it doesn't go away instantly. But typically when we do this within several visits, let's say 6 to 12 visits, we'll start seeing, if not cured, we'll see amazing results in that period of time. So they're using it in Europe on eyes, for eyesight. They're putting it over the thyroid, for the thyroid. You know, I know it's hard to believe. You got to try it. You got to experience it. So what's the next slide?
So we're gonna the many benefits include there's now over 3,000 peer-reviewed scientific studies that talk about the red light and the near infrared light. And Dr. Rothschild, I'll just read them as they come down, and then you can talk about each one, right?
I think they're self-explanatory. You can just read through them.
Oh, okay. So we're going to lose fat faster and easier. So what I love about this is the combination of phases 1 and 2, and we're already eating lean. We're already eating low fat. So as we open and drain the fat cell with the red light technology, we are able to increase and accelerate the fat loss process. So this goes hand in hand with your phase 1 and 2 protocol, but you don't have to be on ideal protein. Just what we want you to do is eat low carb, eat low fat. We're going to drink lots of water, and we'll go into that in a bit, but it's also going to help with skin aging, wrinkles, cellulite, and later in this presentation, you're going to see my pictures, and cellulite's the bane of my whatever, but, you really do see dramatic results. I've done 7 sessions so far. It's going to treat chronic inflammation such as arthritis. So areas that, I have issues where I have Graves' disease or hyperthyroid, and I tend to, like, my ankles will fill up. I travel a lot. So using this to decrease my inflammation, I have joint pain, neck and shoulder pain, totally has helped me. Fighting oxidative damage that drives aging, increasing strength, endurance, and muscle mass, which is, the whole point is we want to be preserving our muscle mass and burning fat when we're in phase 1, decreasing levels of pain. You can jump in anytime.
I love what you're saying. I couldn't say it any better.
Okay, combating hair loss. So, one of the things I'll do is I actually put the little arm pad up on my head, and it will, if you have any headachy stuff, PMS, symptoms, but also to stimulate hair growth and speed up wound healing. And later on, we're going to show you a picture of wound healing that's really amazing. Combating autoimmune conditions and improving your hormonal health. So hot flashes and that kind of thing. There's so many studies, podcasts, so much information. You guys just start reading and listening. Optimizing your brain function and mood. It actually stimulates the mitochondria, which is our energy source in all the cells in our body. It stimulates that and will create energy. So if you have chronic fatigue or issues with being exhausted, I know I do from my own autoimmune issues. Boy, what a difference it makes overcoming fatigue and improving your energy levels. So if there was a pill that was proven to have all these effects, it would be a miracle drug. So, honestly, I was listening to stuff and watching stuff and seeing stuff, and I was like, yeah. And then when I saw pictures that I had, I know the owner of the clinic, or I actually know the person that put their pictures up, then I was sold. And then when I started doing my own treatments, boy, just amazing. So Dr. Rothrock, here's the slides where it says, how does it work? And I think people really, they want to know that. So do you want to talk about how the fat cell becomes more porous and all that?
So sure, and I can read this. So when we talk about how does it work, we're not going to be talking about the healing aspect because that, as you had mentioned, mitochondria, every tissue and cell, let me rephrase it, every tissue is made up of cells, and every cell in your body that is exposed to this light and this combination of both types of light will heal if they need healing. So the downside is 0. You couldn't hurt somebody with this if you tried. You'd have to throw it at their head to hurt them. So even in Mercola's article, he says, why aren't you trying this? And unfortunately, I don't know if this is controversial, but the really reason why some of these things don't happen is because of money. If someone can make more money doing this, there's a likelihood they're going to do that. And don't get me started. After 40 years of fighting this battle, it's a tough road to go. At any rate, first of all,
just a side note to that, and we all know this. We live, here in our own health insurance craziness, but surgeons get paid to cut on you, and pharmaceutical companies get paid to give you pills. So where this has been used tremendously is in socialized medicine, where they want to cut the costs of their health down. And so they're seeing tremendous results, and a lot of the studies that are out there are done in Europe and the UK and different countries where they are actually using this to heal the body from the inside out. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. And the same way with your Ideal Protein program, yes, we're using Ideal Protein the little prescription to get the weight off and get you to your goal weight. But the bottom line is, we have to change habits. We have to learn to maintain our weight. So we can lose weight on any program, but we have to learn the maintenance habits and the ultimate, information on how to eat whole foods. So I just wanted to make that little side note.
Thank you. And by the way, we emphasize that I'm not going to say it's easy to lose weight, but it's actually easier to lose the weight than it is to keep it off. So Absolutely. We really highly recommend that whatever works for you, that you then continue that. And so that's why we suggest people continue once a month on our device, at least once a month, if not twice a month. It depends on, how they've changed their habits and, the things that you mentioned, the starches and stuff like that. But anyway, so what I'm going to be talking about here when we say how it works is how does it drain the fat out of the fat cells. So the first thing that it does is they didn't know this in the beginning, they realized that the fat cell wall actually changes it and becomes more porous. So what happens, let's see what the next thing is. I didn't memorize this. So the fat cell contents are then released into the surrounding tissue. And that happens no matter what, on every person, healthy or not, no matter how heavy they are, in the what we call jiggly fat areas, which is where we emphasize the thighs, the buttocks, the abdomen, the arms. Those areas and under the chin are all the fat, not all, but much of the fat contents are going to be released. And there's a concept out there, by the way, that people think that the fat cells can be killed, can be destroyed, can be eliminated. And that's crazy. I'm going to tell you that anybody that gets too involved with killing fat cells may be making a big mistake down the road, because the fat cells are more involved with other things besides just storing fat. They're involved with stem cells. They're involved with hormones. They're involved with toxins. And this is why when we're around 2 weeks to 3 weeks on our program, especially with the Ideal Protein, when you combine that together, if the provider remembers to ask about their energy level in the beginning, we ask them on a scale from 1 to 10, how much energy do you have? And now 2-3 weeks later, we ask that same question. Basically across the board, the person's going to talk about a much higher level of energy, because we're getting rid of the toxins that's been stored in the body. The person didn't even know they had that. So at any rate, now the people ask, well, how long does this last? The fat that we've released is permanently gone. So next slide. And the fat contents are then brought to the liver by the lymphatic system. So we need a good lymphatic system. We need a good liver. If we don't have those, we have protocol to assist the person. And so when we say the fat is permanently gone, by the way, but if the person goes home and continues to eat a lot of the wrong things and damage and hurt their body, then the fat we released is gone, but now they're putting more fat, new fat in the body. So it's, self-defeating. So hopefully we'll get the person to not eat 1,000 calories more a day than they are, and especially staying away from the things that are going to accelerate. And the thing is, they eat too fast, they eat too much, and they concentrate on things that are going to be problematic. And mostly that's starchy carbohydrates, simple sugars, sodas, and alcohol. All right, we missed some of that slide. I didn't see what else was there, but
it just said to eat clean, which is what you were talking about. Go ahead, doctor. Did I lose Dr. Rothschild? Uh-oh. Okay, so oh, there he is. Okay, hold on, Corey. I'm going to have Dr. Rothschild come back. What happened to him? There he is. We lost you for a minute.
I was here, but you couldn't hear me or see me. But I'm going to let you. So if that happens again, just you do such a phenomenal job. You can just read, the slides and everything. I don't know what I'm doing here. That's great.
I've done so much studying of this. I'm so excited about it. Yeah, I'm into it.
You do a great job. So successful clients just following things. What others?
We're gonna drink lots of water. So you're already drinking lots of water on phase 1 anyway. So you're going to continue drinking all of that water, but we need that water to flush the fat cells and flush the fat, not the cells, sorry, flush the fat through the lymphatic system, flush it out of the body. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Dr. Rothschild?
There's a very important thing. First of all, as I told you, I've been involved with, some people don't like hearing this, but I have what you call a fat head. So you know how an alcoholic, even though they haven't had anything to drink for 20 years, that doesn't mean they're not still an alcoholic. So I'm not overweight necessarily, but I love food. I just love it, and have enough self-control to control that. But I have a fat head, and there are a few things that fat heads like myself have in common. Number one, we eat too fast, we eat too much, obviously, but also we don't drink a lot of water. Overweight people are notoriously lousy about drinking water. So we often don't go, I wouldn't go to somebody who doesn't drink much water at all and say, okay, now you're going to drink 30 gallons of water. So we just do it slowly. If you're not drinking a lot of water now, let's increase that. But I just wanted to mention the most important time for us to have that water in our program is within an hour of our treatment with you. So if someone drinks plenty of water all day long, but they come into our facility that they haven't had anything to drink in the last hour, as far as we're concerned, they're dehydrated. And they can't drink the water right then and there. It has to be about an hour, at least 30 minutes, but better even 60 minutes before the treatment, so the lymphatic system is ready. The lymphatic system relies on this being hydrated. And if you're relatively dehydrated just for that period of time, it just doesn't work as well. So that's number one. We want you to drink 2 glasses of good water about an hour before your treatment. We also want you to, by the way, and I'm not going to go through the whole details, but we also don't want you to eat an hour before and an hour after. So the body's concentrating on what we just released into the system and not the chicken salad sandwich you're going to be eating, or you already just ate. Limit or eliminate alcohol. Now, so alcohol, people don't realize this, is processed by the body as basically glucose. It's very quickly converted to glucose. And so that's one of the problems. But the unique thing about alcohol is the body also looks at it, and people will have controversy about that, but the liver has to process that alcohol because it's looked at by the body as a toxin. And so now you're taxing the liver even more, and you're eating basically a bowl of sugar, or drinking a bowl of sugar. So that's why alcohol is a real problem. Next one is limit
the fatty foods.
Following the protein, following the ideal
protein is perfect because we're already limiting the fatty foods. We're eating very lean. So going back just a second on the alcohol issue, because this comes up a lot in my clinic, and I know a lot on the blogs for Ideal Protein, but drinking alcohol in phase 1 in ketosis is just a complete no. And the reason is not because it's 4 carbs or no carbs. It is really truly what Dr. Rothschild just said, because the body takes that alcohol, immediately processes it. It's processing it as a toxin. It can cause you to black out, and I've had several clients end up at the hospital. So it's really a non-negotiable in relationship to that. And in this program, when you're combining Ideal Protein and ketosis and the red light therapy, we just want to stay away from that. So we're talking about now the use of the whole body vibration. So let's talk a minute about once we've been wrapped up for 20 minutes, and now we're going to unwrap you, and the process after that, Dr. Rothschild.
So what we've done is we've just released the fat into what's called the interstitial tissue. It's just sitting outside of the actual fat cells. That's why no one's going to lose weight in those few minutes. They'll see changes in the what we call circumferential area, but we won't see any change with the weight because the fat's still there. And now what we want to do is we want to get rid of that fat. It's out of the fat cells, and this is very difficult to do in normal life. A fat is like a fish hook. It's very easy going in. It's really tough getting rid of. So we've now improved that dramatically. So we now release the fat out of the fat cells, and now we need to move that. So we know that the lymphatic system has no pump, doesn't have a heart. So the only way that the lymphatic system works is through movement. And what they discovered was the up and down vibratory movement of these whole body vibrational devices work better than anything. It's better than running a mile around the block. But not that I would, if someone's already doing that, great, keep walking, keep moving. But it's the whole body vibration that appears to really even accelerate the movement of the lymphatic system. And that's what we really need to do. It's easy enough. I shouldn't say it's easy enough, but the technology that we have is all about releasing the fat out of the fat cells. And it's just sitting there. And we're hoping that we've done the right protocol, which is water, lack of, limiting the alcohol, but also moving that stuff by getting the body moving, and the vibration really helps to do that. And it will pump it to the liver, get it to the liver, and then hopefully by giving, I think maybe, there's a liver support. Even if we're not doing our program, the liver is the most abused, maybe the most abused organ in our body. The way people eat, if you follow them around in the nearby supermarket to see the stuff they put in their shopping cart, it's frightening. When you're heavily involved with nutrition and diet, you're like, oh my God, you shouldn't have that. But they're doing that. And then the air and the water and all that stuff, all these things lead to problems with our liver. So we want to support the liver. And people always say, well, how long should I be taking liver support? And I tell them, as long as they have a liver, you want to support it, whether you're on our program or not. And the liver support we're talking about, we're not talking about drugs. We're talking about, food supplements that are basically concentrated versions of herbs and foods, so that it'll help the liver. And one of the things is you'll probably hear about is milk thistle. But there are other things that are in some of the better supplements that are out there.
Yeah, that's great. And the compression garment.
So I called Deborah Haynes about 3 years ago, and I said, how's it going with the device? And remember, 3 years ago, our device was about 1/10 the power of what we now came out with the Ultimate Light. And Deborah said, I have 100% success. I said, what? Nobody has 100% success. And she uses compression garments. So we did a lot more research on it. I had known about it. We kind of suggested it, but now we were saying, if you don't have compression garments, and it's not about water. Someone says, well, once you take the garment off, isn't the water all going to blah, blah, blah. This is not about water. This is about not allowing the stuff we just released that's now around the fat cells to get back in. So by using the compression wear, and we use it for that rest of that day, and in some cases, we'll recommend it for as long as they're on our program under the active care, which is at least once a week program. We want them to wear the compression wear as much as possible, again, to discourage the fat that we've released, get back into the fat cells.
And
Next.
So ultimately, how many sessions? So now we've just talked about preparing for your session. You want to be hydrated. You don't want to eat an hour before or an hour afterwards. We want to vibrate the whole body and get every cell moving so that we can get that fat to release and flow through the lymphatic system. Having a brisk walk would be optimal after you leave the clinic. But now, and using your compression garment if that's available to you. But now, how many sessions is really going to give us the results? What I've seen in the local clinics is right around 10 to 12 sessions is where you just see, wow, amazing results. I'm at my 7, and you'll see my pictures in just a little bit. But talk to us a little bit on that.
Well, I mean, part of the problem is if the person's overweight for only one reason, and that's they eat too much and not correctly, and not because they're otherwise sick, then the results are remarkable. And you'll see pretty nice results within 6 sessions. I mean, we've had people lose 17 combined inches in 2 weeks. Now that
Wow.
person was younger, healthy, but just overweight. Now that doesn't happen all the time. Obviously, that's why I'm bringing it up. But most people will see some inches lost, or some loss at every session if we do everything right, and if they're otherwise not unhealthy. The thing is that even the most unhealthy person, if they are patient with this and take the time, they will experience amazing results down the road. And so that's really important that we also do that, that we take the time. I like the way we designate important sessions is the first session, obviously, then the 6 sessions where we'll definitely reevaluate. We usually see nice results there. Then it's the 12th session, that's remarkable results, and then the 20th session. So if your facility, if the place you go to has a scanner, they have these 3D scanners, they'll be able to see them on the 1st, 6th, 12th, and 20th. But without that, what we often do is we'll just tell them, we take a lot of pictures. Pictures are more important than measurements. In fact, I don't even care how much they weigh, but the pictures are remarkable. But the other thing is how they fit into snug clothing. So we see them on the first session, and some of the facilities will say, come in with your uncomfortable clothing. You can put it on, but it's like bursting at the buttons and stuff. And then we do that again on the 6th session and bring that same stuff in the 12th session, and it's falling off of them often on the 12th session. And that's how they realize. You see, the person sees themselves all the time. They don't see it. But if they see somebody that hasn't seen them for like 4 months, they go, wow, something's different. Oh my God, you've lost weight. You look great, blah, blah, blah. That's when it really comes and hits them. So some people do all these things. Imagine almost everybody that's on a diet that's going to be on ideal protein or anything like that has already done this a lot of times. This probably at least there are a dozen times they've gone on diets to lose weight. Remember, my mother was an executive Weight Watchers. I studied diet and weight loss tremendously, involved with all kinds of stuff for the 40 years of my career. And most of the people who want to lose weight have already tried it. And so they're already doubtful. They've tried it, it worked for a while, and then it failed. And so with this program, especially if we monitor them once or twice a month after they've reached their target, our level of success is in the high 90s. If we don't monitor them on any diet, do you know what percentage of people manage to keep their weight off once they stop, the active care and they don't continue on with the program? And I'm talking about every diet out there. What do you think the percentage of people keep the weight off when we reevaluate them 1 year down the road?
It's about 15%. And so one of the things that, I'm in the 15%. So, 85% of all people gain the weight back, and then they go on another diet and they gain, and we've all done it. Look, I have been on OptiFast, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystems, Cabbage Diet, whatever diet. I've done everything. I've done juice cleanses and green cleanses and everything. So here's the bottom line. Until we learn the strategies to keep the weight off, the maintenance strategies of how to balance our diet, how to eat whole foods, how to, and I teach all of that in my clinic. So, until we learn those strategies and we implement those strategies, we're going to be continuously, yo-yoing and going up and down.
That's why it's a multi-billion-dollar business, is because hardly anyone keeps it off. My studies show that only 5% keep it off. Yours says 15. And Nutrisystem is the biggest because it's so easy, but it's not the healthiest. So that's why I love Ideal Protein. The concept behind the whole thing is about, I want to do this in a healthy way. You can cut off your left arm and you'll lose 20 pounds right away. It's not necessarily really smart.
So the best results are going to be achieved at about 2 sessions per week, leaving a day in between. And let's talk a little bit about why we leave that day in between.
So it's like working out. If you work out once a month, I don't know how long those results are they're not going to last long enough. So at minimum, we have had some people, if they had to, come in once a week, and we've had okay results, but 2 or 3 times is better. And the reason the period between is, first of all, the what we call permeability, or the ability, the fat cell changes up to 48 hours. So you're kind of wasting time and money if the person comes in every day, because the fat cell is already open for at least 1 or 2 days. But the other thing also is we want the body to process what we've just released, and it often does take 24 to 48 hours. So we give the body a chance to process what we've just released, and we'll see them on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or if it's twice a week, Tuesday and Friday, something like that. The problem with once a week, besides that it's really not enough, but we can manage with it, is if they miss that one visit, now we've lost a whole week. And that's when we start backsliding significantly. So, I'm just talking about during the early phase of that first, 12 sessions, where that's where we really need to get them locked in. That's where the toxins are going to be released and all that stuff.
Yeah. So consistency, your first, 6 to 12 sessions, you really need to do it at a time where you can be there 2 times a week minimum for, that period of time, 3 to 4 weeks. And so you want to plan it to coincide with that. So I have a lot of people in my clinic that, we're sliding into the holidays and they're purchasing their packages now and planning to do them, either between Thanksgiving and Christmas or once the holidays, and just depending on what their personal focus is. So Dr. Rothschild, let's take a look at some of these, pictures here. And these are coming from Ideal Protein clinics here. So these are not just pictures random that were on Dr. Rothschild's website. These are Ideal Protein clinic users. So they are combining phase 1 with the Ultimate Light protocol. And then we're going to look at some people also that just used a clean diet. So here we have 6 LipoMelt sessions.
That's beautiful. I don't know who that is, and these aren't my pictures, but I want them.
Yeah, that was from Ideal Wellness up in Seattle. But this is someone that you guys worked with.
So this is Maddie Turner. I mean, I can't get a lot of people to give me their faces. That's the problem. So, but we have great results. They just won't allow me to post them. But Maddie allowed us. She's out there in Knoxville, Tennessee, having a wonderful experience out there. But if you look under the chin and the wrinkles and fine lines, they're basically gone. And this happened in 4 sessions. Now, Corey, who's going to come back in a moment, doesn't want me to tell anybody there was only 4 sessions, because we usually recommend 12 sessions.
Yeah, I would recommend 12.
And 4 is an extreme, very quick. And why it worked so, she is 72 years old. I don't know why it was in only 4 sessions she had these remarkable results. Most people, as I said, take 6 to 12 sessions to see these kind of results. But I'm telling you, 100% of people who do it 12 sessions, 100% of people are going to take years off their face. Years off their face. Just for whatever reason.
Dr. Rothschild, can you kind of explain how the red light and the near infrared affect the facial skin, what it does for rosacea and eczema and acne, and some of the things that people have other than fat loss?
Well, first of all, as you had mentioned, there are at least 3,000 studies showing how red and near infrared is unbelievable healing, changes of fat, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. How it works, we already described, that the mitochondria are affected significantly by this light. And remember, this light of red and near infrared is just simply elements of sunlight. What we've done essentially is what we're doing here is concentrating sunlight and the unique parts of sunlight. So we're not talking about UV light, which is in some ways can be injurious to the person, but we're talking about near infrared and red light, and those ranges have amazing results. So, but what we also saw before, we talked about increasing elastin, increasing collagen formation, all done naturally. This is not, injecting, nothing like that. And ultimately, when you're not throwing anything into the body and not yanking anything out or not killing anything, this is the healthy way to go. So I can't tell you why it works so remarkably well on the skin, but it just does. When we, the rosacea, pimple, acne, just anything on the skin seems to be the first thing that result. I mean, obviously it's the most superficial area, so we're going to see great results because it's right there. But the skin is amazing and heals phenomenally well with this thing. So if you think of a skin condition, I would put it on there. I would,
Right. Yeah. I actually had one of my clients who was having some, when you're doing a big detox, maybe she has lost 40 pounds in the last 2.5 months. So it's a big, a lot of toxins processing, what have you. You can get rashes and have detox reactions from that. And so we put her under it for 10 minutes and she was like, gosh, I can feel like tingly and I feel like, so good and I feel like it's working on my skin. So she's going to come back in this week and we're going to give her another treatment.
Did we talk about this? This is not uncommon, but we have people who we're talking about wound healing. Did we talk about wound healing yet?
Not yet. I'll pull that up after we look at these slides here. So this is a gentleman here who 6 liposuction sessions. So you can target the areas. Not everybody is going to want to, put the red light all over their whole body because maybe you already have thin legs and thin arms and maybe we're just focusing on your abdomen, or maybe you're a guy and you have some fat layer in the upper chest area, or on your hips or around your tummy. So we're going to focus the sessions there. And I met this gal here and she, she couldn't say enough about it. Obviously, she works out all the time. She keeps herself in good condition, but she had some stubborn areas that she wanted, like right around her little tummy and right on the edge of her hips, and just really, and her skin tone, she was like, feel my skin, how amazing it feels. And it's not, how your thigh can feel kind of fibrous or bumpy as we age, and the cellulite and what have you is underneath it. And she was right. It felt so smooth and amazing.
Oh yeah, with cellulite, it's remarkable. I mean, I saw pictures you have. Oh, here's one.
Yeah, that's coming. But here's, this is a clinic owner back in Florida. And these are 12 sessions. So you can see that she was on Ideal Protein on phase 1. So she coupled this with phase 1 and over 12 sessions. So if you're doing 2 or 3 a week, you can see that's going to be about a month. So in a month, you're going to lose about 8 to 10 pounds on Ideal Protein. But then you're seeing that accelerated fat loss and the cellulite, and you can just see the way that it smooths the skin and you get that smoothing effect. So any comments on that, Dr. Rothschild?
But we also have on our website, and the picture that we have is also from Alicia Timon's patient. So she's also an Ideal Protein person, and it's unbelievable. I mean, the leg, she comes in, she's not overweight. And now, after a relatively short period of time, she went, I mean, it looks like she lost 30 years on her legs. She went from being embarrassed about her thighs to get me in she couldn't wait for bikini season. So, yeah, it works great on the cellulite, better than we had anticipated.
So now I told you that we would talk about 2 people that did not combine Ideal Protein. All they did was clean up their diet. So quit drinking and just eat low carb, low fat. So you can see here, both of these are 12 sessions. And again, I know the thigh on the right, and she's a great clinic owner back in Florida. And this is a friend of hers, and these are the kind of results you're going to see in 12 sessions. So it's dramatic results where you can see the thinning of the thigh, you can see the smoothing of the cellulite, which, you know, is what we all want. Okay, this is me. So what I found is when, you know, I did 7 sessions and I timed them every other day. So I was diligent about doing it every other day. And so you can see here on my arm, I have a better skin tone, smoothing of the cellulite. You can see again on my buttocks, the same thing. And don't be freaked out. I get cupping on my back done every week. So that's why I got a big bruise there. And then you can see just on the edge of, you know, the side of my buttocks. And I can't stand my cellulite, you guys. It drives me nuts. I look, you know, I can dress it all up, but in a bikini, it all shows. So for me, to have just, you know, even a little bit better makes me just so much happier. And so you can just see the change in the skin tone and the lifting of the buttocks and the muscles. And, you know, it all works in combination. So here's the deal. Consistency is what works. So combining your low carb, low fat nutrition program with the Ultimate Light sessions, that's going to increase your results. But ultimately, learning maintenance and not filling that fat cell back up with new fat is what is really going to keep the results permanent. And we were talking earlier with Dr. Rothschild about wound healing. And so I just wanted to pull up one thing to talk about what it can do for wounds. And you want to talk on this for a minute?
So this is from one of our locations in Florida. They don't, this is not about diet or nutrition or weight loss. This woman came in with terrible burns. She had gone to a wound center and they were shooting her up with drugs, and she was guaranteed a long period of time of healing, of pain, of drugs, and she was also guaranteed permanent scarring. And so now if you look at the next picture, this is 2 weeks later, boom, it's gone. It's gone. This is the easy stuff. And I'm going to ask you, why do you think every wound center doesn't have our device? Why do you think?
Because they don't make money on $100 sessions.
Exactly.
So yeah, it just doesn't work that way. But I'm glad we could share that. So now let's bring down that, and we'll bring Corey up to talk with us. And if you guys have questions, throw them in the comments. And Corey, can you mute us? Corey?
Hello. Oh yes, hello.
Hi, can you mute my sound?
Mute
there we go.
your sound.
Yeah, there we go. I think it just was it was coming up. Okay. Anyway, so if you have questions that you would like to ask Corey and Dr. Rothschild, this is your opportunity. And so I want to say hi to a couple people here. Suzanne is a coach, and Melissa is up at Red Cliff Pharmacy. Hi, Jan. Tell us where you guys are from. Karen is a coach back in Nebraska. And hi, Sharon. Thank you for joining us. So be sure to tell us where you're from, and you can get any questions that you have. We're happy to answer them. We're here for that. But let's, I have a couple of things. And one of the things that I was talking to Dr. Rothschild about earlier was I had a question about someone that had some hip replacement surgery and they have some titanium or some metal in their body, and talking about is that a problem? What are the effects of the red light therapy for that?
So 20 years ago, or just before I learned about light therapy, if someone came in with anything like metal or a pacemaker or anything that could be affected by either electrical, I mean, our main tools in a chiropractic office, besides the treatment, the direct manipulation and things that we do, is typically ultrasound, and some kind of electrical thing, which is a stim or something like that. And those are all no-nos. With metal, it's like putting a metal in a microwave oven. It concentrates in that area, and that's a problem. So all of a sudden, out comes light therapy. Light therapy is not electrical. It doesn't generate heat. So, and it's unbelievably healing. So if somebody has metal, I want to know why they have metal. And if it's, first of all, it will work great on that area. I would actually put it on the hip, and we will accelerate healing dramatically. I would put it around any part of the body. Now, the only issue with pacemaker, for example, is why does the person have a pacemaker? So if they're so ill that maybe putting them on diets or maybe treating that any other part, obviously we're not treating their heart, but treating any other part of their body might be, the only reason I would stay away from pacemaker would be that. But if you have a healthy person that has an electrical impulse problem, many people in their 50s and 60s are, and not many, but the ones that have pacemakers, it's just because they have an electrical impulse problem. And so there's no problem with that. We will not affect the electrical impulse. We won't affect the metal. So that's a long-winded answer to, I get excited about that question because I had no tools for these people, and now I do. When that, 20 years ago, I finally had a device. And by the way, I want to mention the device I used 20 years ago, the one that we're now currently using is 5,000 times more powerful than when I was using 20 years ago. And even that 20 years ago device worked well. So imagine what we're doing now. We're kicking butt.
So talk about the technology for a minute. I love, when you talk about where the microchips come from and the difference in these microchips as opposed to something you can buy, in the marketplace on Amazon or what have you. If you just speak to that for a minute.
Actually, imagine there was something that was like ideal protein that wasn't nearly as good as ideal protein. So people tried that and they go, oh, this thing stinks. And they don't continue because they're trying a copy of it. So there are devices that could look like the ultimate light, but they're, the problem we had with the Asian made, Japanese, and mostly the Chinese made, I have to preface this by saying none of the lights are made in the United States. We can't find a center in the United States that would make this. So we have to go somewhere else. So years ago, we were stuck with either buying Chinese or Japanese stuff. And especially with the Chinese, the quality control was terrible. The results were inconsistent and the power wasn't there. We have the exclusive rights now of getting a device, getting the lights only from Germany. And instead of using these lights that everyone's using, ours are microchips. Microchips are far more powerful. Microchips are far more consistent, and they will last literally forever. I mean, there's nothing, unless you take a hammer and try to break it, they will last forever. So that's a question people say, well, how long will lights last? They don't fade. In other words, I mean, kind of similar with a light bulb, it's going to be on until it's not. And these bulbs, if we're going to die off, they are, some people say, well, after a few years, as you get less powerful, it's the same power from beginning to end. And so that's why we moved over to microchips, and we're having amazing results. And like I said, we actually took a picture of a lady on the first session. And we, when you're doing bellies, you're not really looking at their skin. And when we looked closer, we said, not only did she lose 1.5 inches off of that spot in one session, but look at the skin. You had orange, peely, kind of crepey kind of skin on this side, and now you have porcelain, smooth skin on the other side. In one session. So that
it is totally amazing results. And the one thing too is, the fact that the unit is being wrapped around you and it is right up against the skin and tissue layer is the difference than laying, there's some red light therapy beds out there. They're tanning salon beds that people have put red light bulbs in, and you might go down to your local clinic and your tanning clinic and try that, but it's not going to be the same as having this wrapped right on the skin, right on the tissue areas where you are going to be wanting to, you know, lose that fat, and particularly the inside of the thigh, the outside of the thigh, the inside of the arm, outside of the arm, the bra fat line. I think that's really the incredible part of the way that this technology is made, is super important.
Well, I mean, I have to tell you that one of the reasons that one company in particular went to the beds instead of the pads is because it is challenging to put the pads on somebody and not have it break when someone gets up and sticks their elbow in the light. But our pads are made in a certain kind of foam, so we got past that. But I will tell you that when you're off the skin, the power is lost exponentially. So you're not just losing a little bit. As soon as you come off just a fraction of an inch, you got a problem. So we knew we wanted to be right on the skin, and we wanted to have large flexible pads. We had a company before that were using boards. So even though they were not small pads, but they weren't flexible. We couldn't get really wrap around on the skin, and our results weren't as good. And so we spent a lot of time. It took us a year to come out with a flexible pad that when you flex it, the microchips don't pop right out. That was another problem. So you're not talking about something that's simple. This is something that was complicated. What I tell everybody is what's behind this whole thing is unbelievably advanced technology and science. But to actually put the pads on somebody, it's actually not rocket science, and it's very simple. You put the pads on, set the timer, and the person goes to sleep. And you have to remember that, because I've had conversations with people. I come into the room and I'm talking to them and they're gone. They're not hearing anything I said. And I didn't hear their snoring. They're usually asleep. So it's very relaxing. It's very, soothing.
It is very relaxing. So Sharon had a question here, and she says, is it safe over your eyes when you're using it on your face?
So, I mean, would you stare into a light bulb? It's as dangerous as a light bulb, which means it's not dangerous, but it's not comfortable. So if we're putting it on someone's face, we'll put something over the eyes. Now, if we're going to work right under here, we can't put a large, mask over their face. So we actually have people putting things that are just as big as maybe a dime, the size of a dime, over the eye. And it's only because it's not that comfortable. I mean, you could just close your eyes and that's fine. But some people find that when we turn this on, it's bright. I'm telling you, I put it on with just closing my eyes, and you get used to it, but it is bright. So I liked it better when I had a little thing over my eyes, because I got sick a year ago, and so I got this stuff under my eyes that I hate. So I've been treating myself, but I want to have this area here exposed. So the point is that in the old days, when they were using lasers for a similar kind of therapy, they had everyone wearing polarized glasses and special goggles and all this stuff. You don't need that with this. You couldn't hurt the eyes. And remember, I was telling you, in the socialized medicine countries, they're using it for retinal tears. They're using it in the eye. So not only is it not harmful, it would heal that. But in this country, that's going to be a whole nother difficult thing to get past. But we could actually heal somebody with their problems in the eye. And they will eventually happen when European stuff lines up in the United States eventually, as far as the research is concerned, I should say. So you couldn't hurt the eyes, but I would put something over the eyes.
Mercola actually speaks to the eyes specifically, and he says that the red light therapy, specifically, I believe he said near infrared, will help with macular degeneration in the eye. So, there's studies that say that the near infrared in particular will help with that, as well as, repairing and healing the cornea. I read something saying if, you burn the cornea by looking at the sun too long, it'll actually heal it. And so, yeah, it's not only, not going to hurt you, it will absolutely heal an eye. So,
yeah, I just lay there with my eyes closed, but we do have some little like tanning bed goggles that some people use. But yeah, to me, I think it's everything I've read and everything I've listened to talks about just the healing aspects for every cell in our body. All right, you guys, we have been, I mean, this is the fastest hour of my life. Anything I'm super passionate about, I love to share. And so if you have questions, even if you're watching this in the replay, all you have to do is put them in the comments section and I will go back through and address them. I'll ask Dr. Rothrock his opinions. Corey can help us also. Corey, do you have any special things that you feel like we haven't gone over and things you'd like us to cover?
You know, I think we covered a lot of really good ground. Basically, you know, we changed the name to the Ultimate Light about 1.5 years ago because it is the ultimate. Not only is it the best quality, the best made, but it does the whole spectrum of healing to facelift to fat loss. So, you know, if you have any thoughts on trying it out, you know, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you about how we can get one in your office.
So that's directed at clinic owners. The end user is who we're talking to today. So if you are a dieter and you want to try this therapy, what you can do if you can't find somebody in your area is ping Corey and he'll connect you with someone that can help you to try this treatment, right, Corey?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In Corey's defense, I do want to remind you that he has 4 boys. And so sometimes he loses where he is.
True.
So Dr. Rothschilds, do you have anything else you would like to add?
You know, I always apologize to people because they think I'm so over the top with this thing until they get involved with it as well. So if you still have your doubts about this, which I don't blame you. Look, Chadwick Smith, I told you, he was a famous orthopedic surgeon. We're at dinner. This was before he talked about the light. And then towards the middle of the meal, he's saying, yeah, we're bringing this light in from another country and you should try it. Now, at that point, I'd been in practice for 20 years. And I said, okay, listen, don't tell me I'm going to shine some stupid light on somebody and it's going to heal them. That's ridiculous. So I don't blame you for being doubting. But I had my partner at the time was from Europe. And he said, oh my God, light is huge. We got to bring one of these in here. So we brought Chadwick Smith's light, excuse me. And sure enough, we started having amazing results. So, you know, and it couldn't hurt. So try it.
I know at my chiropractors, whenever I have like some issue on my ankle or my elbow or what have you, he's shining a red light on it. So it's a similar concept, except all over your body and giving you these amazing results. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching in the replay, you have questions, just put them in the comments section. I'm going to put the website for Ultimate Light Therapy in the comments section. I'm going to put the article from Dr. Mercola so you can find out more about photobiomodulation, which is really interesting if you love to heal your body naturally. And I will put Corey's information as far as how to reach him. If you have questions as a client as to where to go, you can email him. If you are a clinic owner and you want to add this to your clinic, I highly, highly recommend it. And you're also welcome to send me a direct message and I'll be happy to tell you our experiences in our clinic also. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Rothschild. Thank you, Corey, for joining me. I love to share super good stuff. And I feel like this was amazing today.
Thank you.
So, all right. See you guys later.
Bye-bye.